How do people with a very analytical background make note investing easy? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool TV, where every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time, we bring you, well, again, the most amazing guests and the most amazing content. And, well, again, this week we're moving that bar. We continue to move it up and up and up every week, right? So before we bring our guests on, before I bring Eddie and our guests on, a couple of things. Number one, make sure and hit that like on us, right? Hit that like and make sure and share this with your friends. Make sure and share your questions with us as well. Please do that. And then also hit that subscribe button if you have not done so. And subscribe to our NoteSchool TV channel. And then lastly, hit that bell notification so that you will be notified every Wednesday when 11:05 Central Time when we go live. And if you would like to know more about what we do at NoteSchool, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. Well, what I want to do now is bring on, well, NoteSchool's founder, our chief visionary officer, all-around good guy, my friend, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good.
It's a great day in the neighborhood, man. A lot of stuff happening.
It is a great day in the neighborhood, and I'm fired up about it. We're in a good space in the industry, and we're looking at a good runway ahead of us. And I think our guest today will do a great job at conveying how do you start out and get from there to execution. We're excited to hear from them.
Absolutely. Great folks. We'll get them right on. First, we'll jump in. We'll do the news really quickly. Eddie, I found this, and this was from the New York Post, and huge Midtown New York office building sells at auction for a 97% discount, and they had one bidder. So this thing is great location, close to Rockefeller Center and all of that, auctioned off last Wednesday for $8.6 million.
The article says mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, mind-boggling.
You know who made out on this, right? The guy that sold it for $332 million back in 2006.
Wow.
Yeah. So the structure's owner, UBS, United Bank of Switzerland, they were the lender. They had taken it back. They had a 2-day auction on an auction website, and it closed after receiving just a single bid. Said UBS's perspective was, we need to sell this quick. We've kind of made our peace with it, and it's just going to be a big loss. We need to sell it, and we need to move on. So there was one other comment that says, well, we hope that we're reaching the floor, right? The floor of, this discounting and so on, but, we'll continue to see. And this, by the way, wasn't a distressed property. I mean, it was distressed in the fact that it was 65% vacant, but trophy property right in Midtown New York.
Wow.
I know.
More to come on commercial real estate, huh?
There you go. There you go. We'll keep bringing it to you for sure. Eddie, we've got some great guests today. You guys are going to enjoy them. I'm going to jump off here so that you guys can get right to it. And I'll see you guys in just a little bit.
That's awesome.
Okay.
We're really excited to have our guests today. They are a wonderful couple. We'll talk a little bit about their background. Very smart people. And I think they made a smart decision when they went into notes, and we'll talk a little bit about how they did that. And we'll talk about how they sort of transitioned. They're very skilled people. They're analytical people. And so we'll talk about how they went from having that skill of being able to be very analytical, but being an executor and moving into action. And I think that's really a a cool part of their story. Wonderful people. You guys welcome Eddie and Irma Villalva.
Hi, Eddie.
Hello, Joe. Hello, Eddie. How you doing?
We're great. We are so good. We are glad to have you here at Note School. Glad to be part with you guys. You guys have such an impressive background prior to coming to Note School. Eddie, you were an aerospace engineer. Irma, you were a comptroller. So you guys had some very successful careers.
Indeed, and it's nice to get off of the W-2 hamster wheel.
Well, the thing that I really appreciate about your situation is there's lots of things you can do, and you had been in real estate and had rentals and stuff like that, but you made clearly a lifestyle decision in Notes, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we progress in the thing. What I wanted to kind of start with, though, is obviously you have very analytical backgrounds, right? And so one of the things that we've learned from Note School is that we have to take your smarts and make sure that we don't overthink it to the point that we're helping you execute. And I want to start out with that because, look, I've worked with lots of Note School, as you guys know, has lots of smart people in it, right? Way smarter than me. But let's talk about that, because there is such a caution flag of you got to go execute, right?
Absolutely.
So talk about that. What was your thought process in getting to that? Like analyzing, what were you looking for? Were you looking for passive income? Were you looking for cash flow? Were you looking just to build wealth in the future? Like when you really first started looking at it, what is it you felt like your focus needed to be on?
Well, I think it was a combination. We were certainly looking for cash flow, passive income, but on the back end, we definitely want to build cross generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the two-pronged goal, and we quickly realized that there are a lot of sources of note education out on the internet, and basically we wanted to hone in on high quality, experience-based training materials and a community with which we can actually grow with. So those were the key points.
Well, if somebody's a regular on Note School TV and watching, we talk about community a lot, right? We place a very high value on community. And yes, we've always kind of thought that experience matters. Sometimes a little gray hair matters, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And so let's talk a little bit about, because I think one of the first things that you did was focus on, you had some money in a self-directed retirement account, right?
Correct.
And, we have seen a lot of people jump in the fence from traditional rental properties to investing in notes, really because of time and aggravation. But more importantly, even today, is the cash flow so much better.
That's true.
So talk about your taking your retirement account and like what did you do with the first deal you did?
Well, the first thing as part of our planning for retirement is we wanted to take our quote unquote nest egg money and pull that out of the stock market. If you follow certainly the recent news, watching those dips can leave one very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that was one of the premeditated decisions that we made, rolling our IRAs and even our HSA into self-directed was a solid step. So that was one of the things that we both discussed and we wanted to do.
Well, I can speak personally, right? I don't know anything about the stock market. I see the volatility, and I see it lets people not sleep at night sometimes. And we've done the same thing. We've invested all of our retirement money into a variety of notes. So we have diversity in the notes that we own. We don't own just one big note, right? And so we've diversified, but we like the note thing because it's way less aggravation than rentals, and it lets me sleep a lot better than having it invested in the stock market, which I kind of feel like I got no control over.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Mhm.
You know. So let's talk about let's look at your first deal. What's it look like?
Gosh, well, our first deal is a partial single family home in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
We bought 144-month partial.
So a pretty long partial, right? Pretty long-term money that you got your money invested for.
That's right.
Exactly. I think the fair market value is approximately 180. The price was on the note was about 90,000 or so.
Yeah, 98.9. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the ITV is
About 55%.
55%, and 12% yield. So I mean, it looks really attractive.
That is attractive. It doesn't just look attractive. That is attractive.
Yes.
So let's make sure the audience understands you've invested just under 100,000 and property's worth about 185. So your investment compared to the value of the property is you've only invested 55% of what the collateral is worth.
That's right.
Correct.
Now, you own the mortgage against the property. You don't own the property, but God forbid something happen, you're in a way safe zone as far as a big cushion factor of equity on top of your investment.
Exactly.
Indeed, yes.
Right. And a solid return. Not all of them have that good of a return, but that one does. That's great. I tell people that generally that yields are, for the most part to our Note School members are 9 to 11. And this one happens to be even higher than that. Right.
Indeed.
So the fact that you bought a partial is good because the guy that owns the back end of the note is a real estate investor, and he's pretty motivated for you to get your money so he can get his note back.
Correct.
Right. That's a risk factor that is really big. Like I can almost say that guy's not going to let anything happen to that note where you would be at risk because he didn't get his back end payments until you get all you're supposed to get. Right.
Indeed.
Pretty
Yes.
cool
We feel very comfortable. The added safety net was, basically one of the things that tripped us into action.
Yeah. So you guys are very familiar with the Done For You program. What we found was Note School, when we went back a few years and we said, we found students and they're smart, they had money, they wanted to invest, they had an entrepreneurial spirit, blah, blah, blah. We said, what's holding you back? And they said, well, we don't have as much confidence as you guys have. We don't have as much time as you guys have. We're not out searching for notes every day. And they said, well, could you just go help us find some notes and help us analyze it before we buy it? So we said, well, that's kind of like Done For You services, right? And they were like, yeah, like that. And so that's what you're describing is that you didn't have to go find this note. You used some of our experience in kind of looking at it and analyzing it. And that lets you, that's a compression of time, right? That's what most people, they say that the richest people in the world want compression of time, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Because you have something more important than just finding notes, don't you?
Yep.
Exactly.
And I thought that was really cool when we sent you some questions and you wrote back and told us about some of your lifestyle decisions. Because let me tell you something, that's really your why. And that's what I love to hear about. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Well, one of the things we wanted to do, so when we got to retirement, we decided that we wanted to have the flexibility to work as much as we wanted to or as little. from anywhere, whether we're in Houston, Texas, or traveling, or whatever the case might be. So we wanted that flexibility. I think in addition to that, just the combination of everything that's provided, the program, the done for you, all these options have made it so much easier for us that tend to be a bit risk averse.
Yeah.
So as we looked at everything,
I think one of the biggest things is that we wanted to be able to have a architecture in which we could work with. So having processes, procedures, checklists were very, very comforting and motivating.
Yeah.
Just like anything else, like the analogy of bike riding and using training wheels, right?
Yeah.
So people learn in different ways. When I was in undergraduate school, I was a teaching assistant. I taught many freshman, sophomore mathematics classes. And one of the tools that they would use is basically you'd have these practice sets. So when you had a practice set, one of the first things you would have, you'd have a couple of examples that would break things down step by step, operation by operation, so that you could come to the solution. And I think the whole of NoteSchool training, the webinars, the weekly webinars, provides that capability. But there's a bit of a missing piece. We talked about the training wheels. You have to learn by doing. And the done for you allows a person to basically overcome any of those hesitations that would keep you from building that confidence. You learn by doing.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things that we figured out when we started doing done for you. First of all, we're in the business and we work at it, a number of us, all day, every day, right? And I'm very involved in trades, right? We looked at over 1,200 notes last quarter, right? Well, it would be hard for you to do that, right? And it would be hard for you to follow up on the good ones to make sure that, you're making the deal with the customer and listening to the customer and making sure that, that customer that sold us those loans in Indiana, I know that guy really well, right? And he didn't want to sell one note. He wanted to sell a package of notes. So we had to go buy it in a package and then separate them out, right? So there's just a lot of things that weren't practical for somebody like you guys to do, but were practical for us.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the other dimension of it was, I had a friend that said this to me and I've never forgotten. He said, a lot of people, when they buy education, they're buying what you described, a system, a process, a checklist, a blueprint, right? But he said, Eddie, don't ever forget that they also buy your confidence.
True.
And our team is very, very experienced in buying notes, right? So when we send a loan to you guys, we're not saying, hey, you got to buy this or nothing, but we're saying, we feel like this is a good deal for these reasons. And when we break down some of the math that you guys see and that kind of thing, and all of a sudden we're just fast forwarding you to something you could figure out over time on your own. You're plenty smart. You guys are plenty smart, right? But if we can make it faster and make it take less time, then we found out that people said, Eddie, that's the real gift I wanted.
True. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then we're giving back the most important thing, which is the fact that what you guys were saying, which was you wanted to be able to do it from anywhere. You didn't want to be tied down. And so I wanted to go through a little bit of like when you first reached out to the trade desk, because we've kind of learned there's sort of a question process that we need to go through. Sometimes somebody can't quite tell us what they're looking for until we ask them these questions, right?
True.
Tell us about that process.
Well, we first initiated call to the trade desk. We spoke to Monica, and we described to her what our buy box was. Basically, the parameters that we were looking for.
Okay.
She then took that information, and when the opportunity came up, she would inform us that a like set of investments were available. We were provided with a list. I think this list came up with 10 properties. Irma and I, we spent some time. We looked through it. We, used the collateral file that NoteSchool had built for that. We looked at the BPO. We looked at Google Maps. We looked at Zillow and Redfin. We actually even went into the county tax records just to make sure that things were kosher there. And so all of that was actually confidence building. So we selected our one. We put our bid in for that, and here we are.
Well, obviously, what we all know is the most important thing about any investing strategy, and that is execution, right?
True.
Yes.
Getting your money invested, your money invested in something that'll let you sleep at night, and then you go on to the lifestyle that you guys talked about. You've had rentals in the past, right?
Yes.
That's true.
They're not any trouble, are they?
Oh,
Well, we got out of it, so that should tell you a lot.
Okay, well, I just was curious. I hear stories.
Actually, we used real estate to basically finance our son's college education.
Yeah.
We were able to get him through an Ivy League school with zero debt.
Good for you. Good for you. You're process people, right? Both of you. Heavy process people. What really clarified the process for you?
Well, the fact that you broke the purchase cycle into phases really helped.
Yeah.
It prescribed a timeline, letting us know what was going to happen, gave us enough time to actually continue to dissect this particular note and get it to the point to where we knew that the paperwork was top notch. It was being serviced by a reputable servicer. So that really kind of took a lot of the doubts that one would have. If, as you said earlier, if we had to go out and do all of these different things, you could very easily get yourself to the point to where, you're trying to cover all the bases and maybe have missed a point or whatnot. This really took a lot of that doubt out. So for that, we're very grateful.
Yeah, our team, I wouldn't personally take credit for that, but our team has done a really good job of breaking them down into, kind of like 4 quarters, right? This is the first quarter. Here's what happens. Here's the second quarter. Here's what happens, so forth and so on, and gives people clarity. Obviously, you're both technical personalities, and you need to see that clarity. You're okay with our system. You just want to make sure we have a system, right?
Absolutely.
And so we appreciate that, and we appreciate the feedback from somebody like you guys with your level of technical background and execution in the past. What are your goals with this note? You bought a note, you spent $100,000. How much is the payment, by the way?
I believe it's $12.34 a month.
All right, so I got my little fancy calculator here. $12.34. I'm not as good with math as you are, Irma. That's you invested less than $100,000 and you're getting about $15,000 worth of payments every year back.
Correct.
That's correct.
Which means, like, different than other investments, you invested your money and you're seeing your money coming back. You're earning interest, but you're also earning your investment back.
That's correct.
So many times people invest and they don't even get any good interest on it. Plus they don't get their principal back. Well, you're just betting on everything's going to work out in the future. And this is like you're getting your payments.
Yep.
Cash flow, as you said, right?
Exactly.
Yes,
this is solid.
It is solid. That's a solid deal. I remember well, I came on the Deal Lab and said, hey guys, we got some notes here that are going to come up. I want to give you some analysis of it. And I remember kind of reviewing it and me thinking to myself, boy, if somebody doesn't see these are good deals, like these are solid, but it's our job to explain it. And it's our job to lay it out, our job to make it clear. So our confidence then becomes what? Your confidence?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So are you going to just keep the note? Are you going to borrow money against it? You're going to sell a partial? What are you thinking?
Well, currently we're thinking we're going to hold it, but I don't know. However, maybe selling a partial is in our future. We might go that route.
Rinse and repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. We are so glad. We're so glad to have you guys. And so we talk about our Note School community all the time, but we are so proud to be able to show the audiences out there who is in our Note School community. What are they like? And Eddie and Irma are certainly people that we are so thrilled to have involved with us. Looking back, what would you say to someone that's considering being in Note School?
Well, I think the very first thing is you'd want to source your training and select your mentors very carefully. There's a lot of folks out in the internet that are trying to entice people. And so I think one of the things that I did is because I looked at several. I became a Note School TV groupie way before we signed up. As a matter of fact, I was looking through the YouTubes. I'm an early morning riser. Mm-hmm. I would wake up on Saturdays and I'd be catching up. Irma would wake up. I'd have her a cup of coffee ready. Mm-hmm. And there I'd be spending time with you.
That's awesome.
So when we, leading up to retirement, we wanted to just kind of say, okay, we want something solid. We wanted to build an architecture, something that was organic and felt good on us.
Yeah.
I would think that if there's anybody out there who's looking or even any consideration of going into the notes business, seek a good source of education.
Yeah.
Again, we've talked about community. Is the supportive community espoused? Is it grown? That was there. So I think for a person who would want to get in, you'd look for those two things.
Well, we say it a lot, but I think it's true. Experience matters. And we've done it for a long time and done a lot of transactions. So we're just trying to bring to the marketplace something that we've experienced a lot and hopefully have, because what you're wanting is a compression of time. You're wanting us to melt down what would take you a lot longer to figure out. And in the interim, to go be able to do it quicker, you need to be able to leverage some of confidence that we can bring to the table because we've been down these roads a lot, and we appreciate that. And I'm honored, and I'm glad to hear that Note School TV helped you connect with that. And we are so honored that you shared that with a new audience that may not be where you are yet, right?
Absolutely.
Mr. Joe.
Eddie, you know, I'm just happy to know that we have groupies.
Don't put that on the internet, Joe. Don't tell people that.
You know, you guys personify, you know, that person that comes to Note School, and we love having you, and you're an inspiration to folks out there. And Eddie, we're coming up on our 4th year of Note School TV in October. That'll be about 208 episodes. Wow. So wow, it's been quite a run. But Eddie and Irma, thank you so much. You know, it means a lot to us, to Eddie and I, to see you guys come in and grab a hold of it and just move forward. So thank you so much, and we'll see you. We'll probably see you this afternoon on Deal Lab, won't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Pleasure to be with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, really.
All right.
Well, guys, that wraps up this week's edition of Note School TV. Great guests, Eddie and Irma. Just super, super nice folks. And you can learn a lot from that, right? If you want to know more about what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV, noteschool.com/TV. And we will see you same place, same time next week. Stay safe and have a good week. All right.